I have a second channel, Cube Comp MTDX.
Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be doing yet another modification to my OPUS BT-C3400 battery charger. I've had this charger for over 4 years now, actually closer to 5 years. Been using this thing to charge my 18650 lithium ion cells, and it's been a great charger. Although it has a couple of drawbacks, and one of them is the annoying fan that seems to not really do much of anything. It makes a good bit of noise, and I'm sure some of y'all may recognize the noise in my videos, because a lot of times I'm here charging cells when I'm making videos. The fan is extremely loud. It's not so loud, it's just annoying, and it doesn't really move that much air. So, upon a recommendation from my viewers in the comments on one of the videos about this charger, I'm going to be doing a fan mod to this charger. So, on the back you got this little fan here. It's like, what is that, a 20mm fan? It's not big at all. And it actually pulls air through the inside of the charger through these vents and expels it out the back. It's just not very effective at cooling. So, go ahead and disconnect power from the charger. And we'll go ahead and take the cover off the bottom. You can see I have modded this thing previously. I exposed the hidden switch inside that allows you to switch the termination voltage. In case y'all didn't know, this charger can not only charge 4.2 volt cells, which is the common type of lithium ion, it can also charge 4.35 volt cells, and I happen to have 4 of those. So that's actually been very handy. The only thing is you gotta be careful with is making sure that you have the correct voltage selected. In other words, you don't want to accidentally charge your 4.2 volt cells of 4.35. That could damage them, if not worse. So, just gonna get this cover off of here, and you'll get to see inside the charger. It's just 4 screws, and the bottom comes off. Just like that, and here's inside the charger. And if we should be able to pull this fan right out of here. I think it's glued in. First thing we'll do is disconnect the electrical connector. What we're doing is we're going to be replacing this little bitty fan with a much bigger fan. So, what you need is an 8mm fan. Of course, as y'all know, I work on computers, so I have a ton of these things. This one came out of a cheap end power supply. And the thing I like about this one is it'll work very well for this application. So, I figured now I should go and introduce you to what else you'll need. And that is a custom printed base for this charger. This was printed out on a 3D printer. What I'll do is I'll locate the files and put them in the description box. That way you can access them. There are 4 different designs of this. I don't take credit for this because I did not make this design. I found it on the internet off of another YouTube video actually. So there's 4 different designs of this base. You have this style, which has a vent that expels air out the back, and you have another style that has a fan vent on the bottom. I like this style better actually. So there's 4 different styles. 2 of them have the vent on the back, and the other 2 have the vent on the bottom. And basically, the 2 different styles of each accommodate different size fans. So, of course, a larger fan like this one, like you would have, say, like a case fan or a power supply fan, you would opt for the thicker base. Whereas if you wanted to use a skinnier 80mm fan like this, you would opt for a thinner base. So this is kind of a rough example. Now this one here did not complete successfully. We had an issue with the 3D printer. My place of work actually has 3D printers, and that's where I printed this out. It was printed out on a Dremel Digilab 3D45 using Eco ABS filament, and of course white, which will definitely have an interesting look on this charger. So that being said, now that you've gotten to see the new base, let's go ahead and get this fan out of here. And I should mention, it's also not a bad idea to just go ahead and, while you're in here, take a close look at all the circuitry, all the capacitors. This charger has electrolytic capacitors in it, and of course, I've heard some of these chargers are really cheap Chinese knockoffs, and I think this one was made in China too. And yeah, these capacitor brands are definitely not your quality brand, so not a bad idea to have a close look at the caps and see, and just make sure they're not bulging or anything. The caps here seem okay. Alright, let's try to get that fan out. It's glued in is what it is, so I'm going to have to use a flat blade screwdriver to try to pop it out of there. So use the flat blade screwdriver to just go in there and pop that glue loose, and the whole fan just slides right out. And you can see it's just a little bitty guy. Ain't much bigger than nothing. Now I kind of would like to be able to save this fan, but I'm going to have to see if I have another connector like this that I could use to wire up to this fan here. Now I do like this fan, and the reason why I like this style of fan is since a lot of case fans like this one here, this is actually also from a power supply unit, but a lot of 80mm fans and computer fans in general, they have the frame is like this, where you have the square on both sides, whereas this one is just on one side, so it'll be easier to mount into here. So let me go ahead and see what I can find as far as connectors goes. Okay, so I stopped for a moment to really look things over. I pulled the fan out. This is what the fan looks like, the original one. It's a Sun-On 5-volt fan. However, this charger actually supplies 12 volts to the fan, which is why this little resistor is right here. So, in the case that you're reusing this connector and you're using a 12-volt fan, do not use that resistor. Just get rid of it completely. I should mention that this little piece here pops off the circuit board, and it allows you to plug in different styles of connectors that are like this, for example. And of course positive is noted right there, so red goes right there. For example, that's how you plug this one in, and it gets a good little secure connection there. So let's go and talk about how to wire up your fan. So we're going to actually wire up this fan here. I think I showed this one to you previously. We're going to wire this one up to a different style connector. So let me locate the fan I was going to use for that. I could just use this one here. So we'll just pop this off right here, because this fan has plenty of wire on it. Because what I could do later on is actually add some wire to this one, because this one already has a pretty short wire as it is. The key thing is we just got to have enough room to be able to strip the wire and wire it into the other fan. Okay, And let's see, go ahead and strip the wires on this one, as well as this connector. I'll do that right now. Now, if this was a high current application, we would want to solder these connections. But since this is a low current application, we can just wire it right in. And I should mention that when you're sourcing a replacement fan, I suggest using one that's got a low current draw. This one only pulls 150 milliamps. I wouldn't go over 200 or 250 milliamps tops with this, because you have to keep in mind the original fan was very it did not use much of any power, and you also have to consider the charger power supply supplies 3 amps, and that's also charging. Of course, that's also used for running the charger. You're charging the cells, so we want to make sure that we're not using a lot of power to run the fan. So what we gotta do now is just twist these wires. And before we actually wire these together, we want to get some heat shrink tubing. So that way we can cover up the exposed wire. And also help keep the connection secure. And we'll just take these 2 pieces of heat shrink. And just slide them over the top of the wires, like so. And of course we'll go ahead and twist these wires together. And we'll take a heat source like a lighter, for example, and shrink the tubing into place. Just be careful if you're using a flame that you don't overheat the heat shrink. Make sure you're seeing what I'm doing here. Apologize if you didn't see that. Okay, so our fan is ready to be installed. So what we gotta do now is locate some screws. That should be a decent size for this application. And of course, as you can see, I have a ton of screws. So if you don't, probably your local hardware store would be a good place to start looking. Okay, so I've located 4 screws, so now we're ready to mount the fan. Now, in some videos I've seen people mount the fan where it's sucking in air from this vent and blowing it up through the top. While I like the idea, because of course heat rises, I have found that this design, the fan struggles to get enough air to really be effective. It actually works a lot better when you have it blowing face down into the vent and blowing out the back. So we're going to mount the fan face down, and with most fans like this, the side that has the frame and the motor is the side that that's the side that expels air. So that being said, we'll go ahead and mount this into place. Let's kind of make sure that we have enough wire to reach the charger. And we'll just carefully melt these screws into place. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and put the two halves together. Of course, we'll plug the fan in, and as mentioned earlier, I believe the positive is on the right when you're looking at it this way. And just gotta make sure that them wires are not getting tangled up in into the fan. You know, just carefully set this over top. Now, depending on the quality of the print, it'll be easier or it'll be hard. So it should snap right in. Now this one, we'll have to work with this a little bit. And there we are. Set it like this. And we should be able to keep the original screws, and of course they're much deeper now. So FYI. So the screwdriver that took them out may not be able to get them back in unless it's long enough. Okay. It's fastened together really good. As you can see, the charger sits up a lot higher now. And also, we're going to go ahead and reuse these rubber feet, or try to anyway. Okay, these are these are pretty shot, so that ain't gonna happen. I'll have to get some rubber feet for it from somewhere, but yeah, you could just what you could do is you could get yourself a set of peel and stick rubber feet to go on the bottom of this thing, and that should help it not slide around so much. And here's a look inside. It's hard to see from here, but down inside there you can barely make out each voltage selection. Now, if you're familiar with the charger, this shouldn't be an issue. I know exactly where 4.2 and 4.35 is, and also the 3.7 setting, which I don't use. But if you want to, you can print out a little piece of paper, or just handwrite the different selection. You can just tape it right there for reference if you need to. So you can still access that just fine. And I usually use a screwdriver anyway to go in there and pop that switch over to the 4.35 setting. And I can do it just fine right now, so that's perfect. So what we'll go ahead and do is I'll just verify again that we're on the 4.2 setting, and we are. And let's go ahead and plug it in. Felt some air come out the back, so we're definitely good to go there. So that is the fan mod that you can do, or one of many different kinds of fan mods you can do to this OPUS BT-C3400 battery charger. Also the same for the BT-C3100 battery charger. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Well, everybody, that's it for this video, but don't forget there's a lot more interesting stuff on the channel to check out. Also, if this is your first time visiting this channel, feel free to subscribe to keep your channel, and also don't forget to tick the bell so that way you'll get notified of new video posts. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, but if you really didn't like it, there is the alternative option available as well. Also, feel free to check out my second channel, Comp MTDX. There you'll find videos about bicycling, weather, elevator tours, and all sorts of other neat, interesting stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to come back, and thank you for your support.